Alright, starting off the episode with a bit of a little funny thing that I found out. In case you can't see from my avatar, I am wearing Crowler's outfit. Now, as I've explained before, at least I hope, in this game you can get different outfits, usually by dueling the crap out of people. And some of the people that do this include Jazz Princeton with the Northern Academy outfit. Kaiba Man does it with his Kaiba Man suit. And Fontaine will give you the gym outfit that was seen in that one episode that she was in. I think they were playing tennis or something like that. You know, the point is, all these different characters will give you different, little rewards if, say, you duel them enough, and you get them a bit more often when you have the Spirit Jerry Beans Man. Now, in case you haven't noticed, I've switched over to Jerry Beans Man because I wasn't using Adhesive Explosive, even though I really should be, because it makes it a lot easier to get registration. But since I was having Jerry Beans Man with me, it meant that it was much easier for me to get such rewards, and sure enough, I dueled Crowler enough that not only was I able to get him registered, but I was also able to get his outfit, which, to be honest, has gotta be one of my favorite outfits in the game just because of how glorious it looks. I'm not sure if you can do any, other dual disc with it, though, which is kind of sad because if you could, that would make it perfect. I would love to see all the different combinations. The only time I've ever gotten another dual disc, though, since every other character that gives you a dual disc, spoilers, is pretty much characters you can only consistently fight in the after game, and most of these are pretty much the Shadow Riders. And I have gotten another duelist before. I got it from Admiral. He gives you the bejeweled dual disc, more or less. It was really nice looking, though, for my second playthrough. And time for some filler bullcrap from the computer. Look at this. Fairy box. Simple enough card. It just means that every time you attack, flips a coin, and if they guess what it flips on correctly, then your monster's attack points is brought down to 0. The problem is, everyone in their standby phases takes out 500 life points. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but the problem is, and I've discovered this mostly through Duel Academy, and it's especially bad here since the AI actually knows how to think, but if your opponent gets Fairy Box out early, then I'm sorry, but you're done for. You just have to wait so long for you to be able to get anything done. I could risk it here since I had plenty of life points to waste on the monster with only 300 attack points, so I could attack it enough until I finally got it done. And, this spirit didn't have a lot of life points to go off anyway. So, I was set to win here. It just took a bit longer than expected because of this fun little situation. Now, this episode was interesting because it actually should have been a whole lot longer, but the problem was oh yeah, nice little finish here. I do enough battle damage to her that her own card's effect made her lose the life points needed. But anyway, this part should have been a lot longer because I actually got a different spirit to come out and I dueled it. Not just once, but get this, twice. Problem was, I lost both of them. And the losses were so terrible. I kept the Kaiba Man lost because that was a good duel. But the losses I had against the spirit, it's not even a terrible spirit too, it's Skelangel. something like that. They were just really bad draws on my part. The first for both of them. And that's when I started hating this dinosaur level up monster deck that I had made thinking, oh, this is a great idea. I mean, these are two good strategies. They can surely meld, right? Right? No. Trust me. I mean, I've been running into a few problems before, but what had happened for me the two duels with the Skell Angel, I decided, okay, you know what? Forget this. As soon as I can, I'm going to replace my deck with a different strategy. A strategy I had in mind and I always like doing anyway. So, it shouldn't be too hard of a step for me. And that's when I realized that deck idea that I had in mind. Turns out that was the deck that I said I made in the after game that I really, really love to do. It's a Dark Paladin, Twin-Headed Dragon fusion centered, and level up centered deck. There are so many support cards for Dark Magician and Buster Blader that the deck actually melds really well. Like, I made the deck after this duel, and I know I've been ignoring the plot here the whole time, but here's pretty much what happens. The tournament's starting to get serious because guests are arriving, and since I had to wait for an extra week since the ship didn't come the first Sunday, then you get to see that, Para and Dox are on the island, and then whenever the ship comes by another time, you see that Chumley's come back, already in his nice little suit. He doesn't have a Skyscraper 2 for us just yet. I think that's in World Championship 2007. But the point is, he's back, and it turns out he knows what's happened to Zane. Similar to the anime, he became pretty much evil. So, Chaz goes out thinking, oh hey, if I beat Zane now, my credibility will finally be brought back. But, it's just not to be the case because Chaz is painfully beat by Zane, who's now on the island. I forgot to mention that earlier. And thus was humiliated. Now, Cyrus, being the younger brother, thinks there's no way this can be Zane. But, we haven't seen Zane quite yet. So, it turns out Atticus, as the best friend, wants to try and help get Zane out of the darkness by going dark himself. Doesn't that make sense? And returning as Nightshroud. And thus we're dueling him to fully activate, or some or another, the dark powers within him. Now, I will admit, as much as I began to hate the dinosaur deck that I had made, and had so desperately tried to use well, I will admit, this last duel was actually a pretty good duel. The only reason I can say I truly won was because he made a really stupid decision near the very end with his mascot card, Red Eye's Darkness Dragon, that would have won him the duel, but he didn't. He didn't see that he would have won the duel, so I got to destroy it, and I ended up winning. Now, the sped up part that you've been seeing for a little while now was a very long, like almost 3 minute or something crazy section in the duel where, it was a very much so a standstill between the two of us. Like, he kept on destroying my cards, I kept on destroying his cards. I wasn't getting anywhere with my strategies. I didn't really have the best draw, but, it was still workable. And, he kept on getting good cards. He was able to work out his strategies, and they ended up just wasting time in the end because I still won since he couldn't stop my very very loose strategy from working. Not to mention, like I said, if he would have seen his opportunity correctly, he would have won, but that's just me rambling at this point. Since what's in the past is in the past. Of course, I guess while this duel is ending, I could talk about that. Although I'm not sure if I talked about it before. If I am, and I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. I usually poke fun at people for repeating themselves. So to see me do it is kind of hypocritical, and I will admit any mistake I make. So my thoughts on the whole past, present, and future thing is that in media there seems to be two major views. I'm being I'm being a bit redundant, but oh well. Two major views on how the past should be dealt with. You either live your whole life by it and become pretty much catatonic because you're not willing to look past any mistakes, and thus you're kind of wallowing in self-pitying other negative emotions, or you are the complete opposite, where you say, the past, screw the past, it has no bearing on the present, and you live your life happily, always looking for the future, never living in the moment. Or, you, well, I wouldn't say never living in the moment, because most people that hold that view in media will usually say that, you gotta live in the moment, not in the past. So, probably a bit of a tongue slip up there. But, what happened to a happy medium? Why can't we all just realize that, yes, the past does matter. You need to make sure you remember it so that you don't keep on repeating the same mistakes. But you can't live your whole life by it because then you're wasting your life in that way. So, you know, that's kind of how I've developed my own opinion about that time. And here's the dumb move he makes. His Red Eyes Darkness Dragon would have had 3,600 and would have been able to beat me, and I would have been able to do nothing to stop him from there. Not to mention my life points were really low, and he had enough firepower to beat me. Being really... didn't even see the pun there. Since, we're in a volcano, and that was definitely fodder for a pun, but... yeah, let me just summarize how the rest of the duel ended. I was able to use false exclamation correctly for once, and I even got it to be used in a really good scenario where Ultimate Tyranno's semi-dumb effect is cancelled and I can attack with any monster, not just him. Problem is I can't attack every monster on his side of the field, but, basically that helped me get the victory even sooner. Since I could, test out the waters by having another monster attack, say, this face-down card the instead of Ultimate Tyranno being forced to do such. And, yep, I was able to pull off a nice victory. It was a really good duel, minus that terribly slow part in the middle where we were both just kind of stuck going back and forth, getting nowhere. And yeah, there we go. To be honest, I probably shouldn't be filming this narration segment, whatchamacallit thingy, because, I'm busy with school. This is my last week of school before fall break, and I have plenty to do in all 4 of my classes. But, I had a little bit of free time, and I figured, hey, Why not? I'm really close to finishing this up.